Hi friends, and welcome into my studio. If you are looking for inspiration on how to finish your next quilt, what design you want to use on it, then do I have a wonderful episode for you today. I am Tammy Ernest, for those of you who are new, and I am a longarm quilter. And here on my channel, I like to share customer finishes, all stacked up here on the longarm, and I also share projects that I'm working on that are my own. So today I have a whole stack of wonderful customer finishes. It's only been a few days since I put out my last video. I'm still trying to get back onto my regular schedule of filming since being out of town a couple weeks ago. But I went ahead and decided to do another video today because I have 7 quilts here that need to go home, and they were just too good to pass up. So we're doing a little bit shorter time here, but you're going to love these quilts today. I have several Christmas, winter themed quilts, so to give you some inspiration on getting your holiday things going, but lots of fun, lots and lots of fun. So I'm going to start out with, I have no projects of my own to show today because it's only been a few days since I filmed my last one. I have not had a chance to work on any. I have been working on a few things, but not enough to show you any progress on. So I will get to that next video. But I wanted to do a couple updates on some things, tie up some loose ends from some other videos. So first of all, I wanted to start with this pattern. So several weeks ago, I had a viewer say that they were looking for this pattern. They thought they had seen it in an Australian, no, let me back up. They were in a shop in Tucson and saw the quilt, but the owners of the quilt shop or the workers, whoever, did not know the name of the pattern, did not know how to get a hold of it, anything like that. So they thought it was from an Australian designer or in an Australian magazine. So this viewer asked if there was any way I could find the pattern or do something about it. So I just asked you guys, could anybody help me? And it worked. I had a second viewer contact me and said that she knew some information about this, that the pattern is called, and I've included this in the description below. So if you are interested in making this pattern, we now know how to get a hold of it. So the pattern, it was in Homespun magazine from December 2019, January 2020. The name of the pattern is called This Town, and the designer is Samatha Dorn from Aqua Paisley Studio, and she is an Australian designer. I have linked her website down below, and you'll want to go see. She's got some bright, cheery, really cute quilts on there, patterns available. So I sent this on to Jeannie, who was asking me for the pattern, and I sent her the information, and she said she was able to get a hold of the pattern, and she's so excited she's going to be starting on it soon. So isn't that exciting how we can all work together? That's just really great. So if you're wanting to make that quilt, all that information is down below. Now let me interject here real quick. It is a beautiful fall day here in Indiana. I do have my sewing room window open, so if you start hearing some of those farm house noises, I can hear those fall sounds. I can hear them going, so I'm not sure if you can as well. If you get my weekly newsletter, and you read my newsletter from last week, you know the surprise we found last week. That, not that we found, but we discovered. So back in the springtime, we were gifted 10 or 11 chicks and a full-size rooster. We've always had chickens. We've lived here 23 years. We've always had chickens. But a couple years ago, we had a predator, a fox or something, come in and wipe out our chicken coop. We did not have a dog at the time. We since got a dog. He's now 2 years old, and so we were ready to start into chickens again so that he could guard them for us. So we were gifted a full-size rooster and about 11 chicks. Unfortunately, a couple weeks after that, they were all in their chicken coop, and our dog Ranger had been locked up for the night for some other reason, and a predator got to the chickens again. And so we were left with only 1 chick and 1 rooster. So just decided, and for now, we've kind of remedied some situations, but that's all we've had all summer. Last week I was out on the porch, and I would hear our rooster crow, and then I would hear this, what I call an adolescent crow. You know, picture a boy going through puberty, you know, that's what this second sounded like. And I'm like, that neighbors must have a new rooster and it's just learning to crow or whatever. I heard it a second day, and then my suspicions were up that I don't think that's the neighbors. I think our second chick is another rooster. So when I had my window open here just a few minutes ago, I did hear our newly discovered rooster trying to crow, and it's really funny. It's just, that's all I can describe it as, is they're learning to crow, and it's this very adolescent, broken up, just funny. So if you hear that in the background, that's why you can hear it, because my window's open. I am enjoying the weather here. So let me tie up a couple other loose ends, because it's only been a couple days since my last video. If you remember, in the last video I was offering this Scribbles. This is an edge-to-edge quilting that you this is, what do I want to say, a paper pantograph. That's what I want to say. And you base this to your quilt top, and then you are able to stitch right on top of these lines using your domestic machine to do some quilting of your own. I talked about last week how I will not be using this. This came in my Sew Sampler box, but because I have a digitized Longarm, I will not be using this, so I am giving this away as a free giveaway. But because it's only been a few days since my last video, I don't feel like you've had enough time. If you watched my last video, not everybody's had a chance to enter the giveaway yet. So because it's only been a few days, I am not going to do this today. So if you are interested in joining the giveaway, you need to go back to my last video. I will link it below, so that you learn how to enter that giveaway. And then next week when I film my next video, then I will give this pattern away. So jump back to the video right before this, or link it down below if you want to enter the giveaway for that paper pantograph. One more thing before we move on to customer quilts. Many of you are aware that I have an online membership, and this has been so fun. We started this the end of June, and introduced it to founding members. I had 50 founding members join back in June, and this is an online membership geared for those people who maybe you're isolated at home, you're not able to join a guild outside your local area or in your local area, whether it's because you're home taking care of kids, or maybe you're taking care of parents, or the timing's not right. So I developed this online quilt guild so that we can get together, we can be motivated to finish our projects, you find creativity and a whole community of other quilters that you can enjoy. So we've been going for about almost 3 months now. Really enjoying it. I will be opening the doors to that membership in October, so stay tuned for that. If you are interested in that, I will put a link down below to be put on the waiting list. But I wanted to show you something that each month we do some sort of lesson, not necessarily a lesson, it's usually an interview that I do with somebody in the quilting industry where they're talking about something, and then it gives you information then to either take a class from them or learn more for yourself. And then also in this guild, then last night we had our monthly meeting where we did a virtual meeting, and we all got to talk about what that lesson was about this month, and then talked about some plans for the future, and just enjoy getting together and conversing and showing what we're working on. We also do a live show and tell, and that comes at the end of each month. But one of the things I showed the quilters last night in the in our online meeting was some ice dyed fabrics. Our lesson this month, our skill builder lesson this month, was all about ice dyeing fabric, where I interviewed one of my clients that is making ice dyed fabrics for herself. That's not she doesn't sell them or anything, but she makes these as wide backings for her quilt tops. And so I wanted to talk to her so that I could share this information with the online guild. And she sent me these samples for me to pass out to guild members, and so I'm so excited to be able to get those in the mail. But I thought before I did, I was going to show you. So this is the kind of thing that we're doing in our online membership. If you are interested in learning about a class about this, there is a lady named Susan Perney Mark. She is from Canada, and you can visit her website, and she has whole courses on how to do this. The lady that I interviewed for our Quilt Guild, her name was Dee Dee, and like I said, she's a client of mine who does this for herself, but she has taken those classes from Susan Perney Mark and shared her experience with us. So fun. Aren't those pretty? So these are cotton. Those are all cotton. Let me show you also. You can do the same thing on velveteen and even on silk. So fun. We're really enjoying our online membership. And like I said, if you're interested in joining us, those doors will be opening up again in October. We'd love to invite you in and get to know you. And the community aspect is so fun, getting to share ideas with each other. They're from all across the U.S., even a couple quilters from Canada. So we are really enjoying getting to know each other and sharing projects. But wanted to share those with you. All right. Now, I think that's all the loose ends I had to tie up. Let's talk about some customer quilts. So, first of all, let me insert some pictures of this baby quilt right here. You'll get to see some larger pictures, and then we will talk about it. So this quilt comes from Barb, and these are 9 fussy cut pieces from a panel, I would assume, or some sort of yardage. I don't know the fabric line. If I can get that information, I will pass that along to you. But these are 9 blocks that are fussy cut. You can see in the corners there are easy corner triangles added to each one of them, and then they are joined together by a sashing strip here, and then a larger sashing strip. You can see it down here. So 9 of these, and then also what is so cute, then she has added some extra borders. So this is across the bottom, and then we also have it down each side one. Those look about like 5-inch, maybe a charm pack, 5-inch squares down the side, and then this first border probably 5 inches, and then the second one, it looks a little elongated, so a little bigger. So I'm sure she has used up all the yardage that she had, made the quilt a nice size. Let me see. Let me see, this one is 55 by 70, so a nice size. This will be able to grow with the baby if you give this type of thing as a shower gift or a new baby quilt. Then this is something that will be able to grow with them, doesn't just stay small. They even be able to use this on a toddler bed or even for a throw later on a larger bed as they're growing. So isn't that so cute? Let me show you the backing fabric. The main part of the backing was this green print right down the middle, and again, Barb has used some other yardage from the front to create borders down either side. Again, long rectangles. So pretty. So a different way, you can take a pattern or some yardage. It doesn't have to stay just all as one piece. You can cut it apart, add easy corner triangles, some sashing, just all of those colors just look really, really cute together, don't they? So the pantograph I chose for this one is called Rainbow Hearts, and is this not cute? So very similar to a Baptist fan, but then we add this extra little heart in the middle. Stitches out really easy. I like this pantograph because it nests up into it without having to cover over. We talked about this last week, I think, where you don't have to stitch right on top of the row before it. So let me see. So if I can show you. So the bottom of the heart is the end of one row. So you can see where the bottom of this heart is right here, that little point. That's the bottom of that row. So the next one, when it stitches out, it is offset by the row is half, how do I want to say this? So instead of, when you pull a pantograph into digital, you know, usually it's going to be one on top of each other like this. It's going to be the same thing repeated. So on my machine, I have a handy quilter, I have Pro Stitcher, and I offset the row by half so that it separates it like this. So then I have a rainbow here coming down, and then my other rainbow is here, if that makes sense. Okay, so this point comes down to here. The next one is stitching, and I don't bring this one all the way up to touch this one. I leave the same amount of space here as is in the width of those rainbows above it. So the width of the rainbow, let me show you on the back, because we can see the, yeah, okay. Because we can see the design a little bit better. Okay, so the bottom of this heart is the bottom of the pantograph, the bottom of the row, all right? So then this row is offset by half. So that it moves it over, and then this is the bottom and this is the top of the next row. So I didn't bring this top of this row up to touch here, because then I would have to, what it would be trying to do would be overstitch right on top of this last line. No way. No way are you going to be able to match that all the way across the quilt and all the way down the quilt. It's just, you're not going to be able to overstitch that much from a row before. Okay, so I don't think that that's the intention of the designer in making this. It's intentionally done so that you can nest it up with the other one, not having to overstitch, but it looks like it's all done at the same time. Because this second row then, it comes in and it's stitching right below, if you can see, it's coming right here, and that's the line. Now, when you pull it into your machine or into your design, it may be separated by this much. I had to close the gap, and it was, I'm just eyeballing it on my machine, on my computer screen, that I want this space here between the rows to be similar to the space here that is already programmed into the space between those rainbow arches. Okay? They're really cute. So and that's the pantograph. I did use an off-white thread, not a bright white. It's just an off-white so that it blends in with these colors. Even on this green, you really don't even see it on the green. It's just adding the texture there. So cute. All right, so that's Barb's first quilt. Actually, all my quilts today, except for one, are coming in pairs. I have I have 3 sets of twins today. Not twins, the quilts aren't the same, but I have 2 quilts from 3 separate people, and then one that's all by itself. So let's move on to Barb's second quilt, and this next one is a Christmas themed one. Adorable. It's just adorable. So Barb's second quilt is the pattern called Frosty Goes to Town, and let me show you. I have all of the patterns for Frosty Goes to Town, because what I failed to tell you is that Barb is my aunt, and she got into quilting about 4 years ago, I think she told me. My mom is also a quilter, and this would be my mom's sister. And so my mom introduced my Aunt Barb into quilting, and she has gone full bore in. And so not only is Barb a wonderful quilter, but she is also a very generous aunt. And when she picked up this quilt pattern for herself, she also bought me the entire set of patterns for Frosty Goes to Town. There are 7 patterns. So you could just make, if you didn't want to make the whole quilt, you could just, you know, buy a pattern for one section of it. So this is this, if you can see that, Snowbucks. It's Snowbucks Cafe, and that one is all the way up here at the top. So you could do just one section of it if you wanted. It would be really cute as placemats even. You could have 6 different placemats. So there are 7 patterns because the 7th one is assembling the quilt top. So pretty. Just adorable. So this is all applique. And not only did my Aunt Barb give me all the patterns, she also bought the entire fabric kit for me. And one of the things that's really cute about this quilt is all of the snow pieces are actually flannel. And let me pull this out. It's a white flannel, which just gives the quilt some texture to it, some tactile texture. It's just really fun to be putting your hand over it in every place, not that part, but all of the snow parts. The snowmen here in this truck, they're all made from the white flannel. It's not super thick, but it just gives a different texture when you're putting your hand over the quilt. So let me show you some of the fabrics. These are all Kimberbell Basic fabrics, and I have linked these down below. It's not just one line of the Kimberbell Basics, because there's a winter one, there's a spring one, and there's a summer one. So this quilt kit is actually, or this pattern calls for some from each one of those lines. And I'm not going to remember which ones are from which. I'm thinking, but you can go through them and see. Actually, look at this. You remember this? So I just picked up this in a wide back in the Aqua. This is more of a lime green, but I just picked up the same print in the Aqua, and then I did one in the red, if you remember that, when I talked about wide backs. But this may be like in the spring Kimberbell Basics line. This one is probably in the winter. That's a red stripe. Actually, it may tell me. No, it just says Kimberbell Basics. So here's like some yellow. So if you're wanting to do the called for ones, you'll be needing to pull some yardage from different ones. Here's the white. You can see the red in the roof. That's that one. Here is that design. So, you know, looking at the fabric, all of it, it looks like pretty springy. But when you put it in this house, you're only getting parts of it, and you're seeing much smaller scale of it, so it fits in really well. So let me show you some of the others. Then you have the green. And I love this polka dot. In that polka dot, and you can see it on some of the roofs of the houses. Yeah, a lot of the houses use this red polka dot, just so pretty. This one is used in the truck right here. On some other roofs, on some other barns. Really cute. And then, so this one probably comes in the winter line, and this one may be the winter one too. Okay, so those are all Kimberbell Basics, and I have linked those different lines down below. So another thing that you would need to do this quilt kit is, or to do this quilt, would be the accessory packet, fabric packet. These are all the little embellishments that are already done for you. So, you know, there's the Snowbucks Cafe, you've got thimbles and clocks and little signs, the Snowflake Chalet, all the signs for the quilt shop, and all those, the quilt that the snowman is holding as well. These are not buttons, these are all little applique pieces. This is his little scarf and his hat. And then Barb has done some applique around the trees, and then she has also done little decorative stitches on the trees. And all of those decorative things were done prior to the long arm quilting, and the long arm just goes right over the top of it. Really cute. I love this little quilt shop with the sewing machine in the window. So pretty, but it's all applique, and then she's done her decorative stitches around each piece, and then also across the trees, around windows. I'm just trying to pull it all in here so you can see. The buttons coming out of the chimney are so cute, for the smoke coming out of the chimney. The snowman riding the ski lift. just so many details. I mean, you could be looking at this thing for a long time. So I have linked all of the patterns down below. I have linked the accessory fabric packet down below, and I have linked the different fabric lines. You probably won't want to buy each one of the lines. You'll want to just look at, I mean, you could and then use the fabrics on something else, the ones that don't fit into this quilt kit. But you'll also, once you get your patterns, you'll be able to tell which fabrics are called for and be able to buy just those ones. Now you notice from this pattern that the pattern, this is the assembly of it, they also add some stars around the edge and then another border. All Barb did was just put a border on, and you can see the red border that she put on. By doing that, it made it 53 by 63, a really cute, perfect size for just throwing out at Christmas time. Even this one, I would say it has a pretty Christmassy feel because of the reds and greens. Personally, once it gets to January, I like to decorate with snowmen in January, but it'll be more my blues and my whites snowmen that I put out in January. So I would probably only keep this out during Christmas time. All right, let me show you the backing fabric. This backing fabric is actually not part of the Kimberbell line. This one is, I know I put, okay, this is the Blizzard fabric line from Sweetwater. And I have a second quilt later on that actually used the same fabric line in her quilt too, and that's really cute. So these are all little snowmen, a gray backing, a gray background with all the little snowmen on top. And it's a solid. It's a pieced. This wasn't a wide backing pieced, but you can't tell. Busy enough you just can't even see that seam line. All right, so let's talk about the pantograph. All this snowmen required a snowflake pantograph. This pantograph is called Snow Winds. It has two different sizes. We used this one last week on a different Christmas quilt. Do you remember that? Same pantograph. It was perfect. I had to use the same one because with all the snowmen, it was the perfect one. So same thing as last week. It's the larger size snowflake, the smaller one, and then it has the wind blowing kind of swirls with it. I did use a white thread on this one because of the white snow. I did not want it to look like dirty snow. So I did use a bright white thread so that it didn't take away from any of that snow, any of the snowmen. I believe I made this about the same size as the quilt last week, so the bigger snowflakes, no, actually I think I reduced it just a tad bit. Not by much, but the larger snowflake is just a little smaller than my fist, and then the smaller one is even smaller than that. So the snowflakes just added, the Snow Winds pantograph just added a lot of, it just complemented the quilt top. I mean, it just looks like it's a big wintry scene, all the snowmen playing, and there's some little snowman town. I just think it's really, really cute. I love even the picket fence, and oh, there's so many details like to see this. Even the snow on the trees is a good effect. Not all of them have that. The snowflake as the tree topper. Oh, just so many cute things. So this is really making me want to finish mine, but got some other things to do ahead of that, don't I? You know. All right, so those are Barb's two quilts. Let's move on to Jamie's quilt. You can see a peek of it in the back. Jamie is a friend of Barb's, and this is the first quilt I've done for Jamie. So let's look at this one. So Jamie's quilt is made from a pattern called Crescendo, and this is by Cozy Quilt Designs. All of the fabrics are Hoffman fabrics. What appears to be all batiks besides the yellow. And the yellow is a little bit, it's not a solid yellow, it's a little bit of a mottled yellow there. I don't know the name of that one per se, okay? So the Crescendo, you can see it's a radiating effect from this center yellow square, and then all of the triangles radiate out from that. Made in squares though, so if you see it right here, it's set on point, but this is just a half square triangle. One's yellow, one side of it's yellow, the other one is two fabrics put together. I did not look at the pattern, well, I don't have the pattern, but so I don't know if you're cutting the squares afterwards or if these are, I don't know, but that's what it is. It's a half square triangle. It's hard on camera. You think you're pointing the other way. So a half square triangle with the yellow, and then these two fabrics. Sometimes, so here it's a whole square. I don't know if you can see that. So here is a whole square that's all batiks, and then you have others. This one up here. So this center square is not, it's not a square, it's actually half square triangles. Again, I have the batik triangle here, and then this yellow right there goes with this square. And so then when they're all turned and the yellow is put together, then it makes that square in the middle. So it's set, it would be set on point, and you're creating it this way, and then you would have setting triangles. And then you do have setting triangles because this whole thing is set on point. Then you do have setting triangles. Then there is another yellow border around the edge, but it blends seamlessly, so you don't even see it when you're away from it. You have to get in close to even realize that there's another yellow border. And what that does is it gives some space around all of the triangles. So instead of the green border being right up against here, it's letting your eye rest before it goes on to the border by adding that another border the same as the background fabric. And then you can see she has a green border around the edge, and then this pretty floral fabric, and then the back, it's not the same fabric but very similar, a little larger motif on that one. Almost a watercolor type feel. I don't know the name of this, but almost a watercolor type look to the backing fabric. Now, I am sure you've already noticed the pantograph. Is this not beautiful? So this is the first time I have used this pantograph. This is called Destiny, and let me find you the details. My Creative Stitches is this one. So that is Christy Dillon of My Creative Stitches. This stitches out in rows, but again, it nests up with each other. So let me see if I can get this. So you have a swirl here and the fan on the underneath side of it. And then you come up and have the swirl here and the fan on the top side of it. And so it nests back and forth in there. It is just, I loved quilting this out. This was so fun. I love the fans. Oh, it really nice. So you know, with a fan, I mean, the needle's gonna come up and it's gonna cover over itself each time. So you know, each one in between here is stitched twice, but because it's in the same pass, as long as you don't bump your machine, it's not gonna mess it up. It's gonna stitch right over the top of it. So crisp and clean, and I really like this one. First time I've used it, but it will definitely not be the last. So pretty. This is a pretty large quilt. Let me find the dimensions on this one. This one measured 76 by 90, and just love it. Really, really pretty. Okay, let me see. I have a couple quilts from Judy next. So here's the first one. Judy's quilt is beautiful. This is called Snail's Trail Alfresco by Jean Ann Wright. I have linked this down below. The pattern that I found by that name is a little different from this one. I actually like Judy's a little better. I don't know if this was just an adaptation or if this adaptation is in the pattern itself. But the other pattern also has a snail's trail in the middle here. And on Judy's quilt, she has joined them with some sashing in between. So if you can see, this is just a 9 patch with the white on the corners. And then the sashing here and the sashing here and here are just 2 long strips. One of the fabric, and this is a gradiated fabric. I don't know the name of this line. If you know the name of this line, put it in the comments below so that somebody else will have the information. So gradiated fabric, so like here, this is a blue that goes into more of an indigo and then into a purple. And like the one up here goes from the red to the yellow to the green. So it looks like it's pieced with lots of different fabrics. It's not. It's just one long strip right there. But by alternating these, here we have the colored and then the white and then the colored. But then the 9 patch is the whites on the corners. It adds a nice effect. And you can see that from, you know, even up there at the top or from the larger pictures. And then it appears that we're creating a you know, a box around that snail's trail. And I like, so here's snail's trail. You can see the pattern. I know Fat Quarter Shop also has some foundation paper piecing that will help you make the snail's trail block. And snail's trails has one of those, it's like, okay. You know, I've not been overly impressed with it. I believe this also uses some creative grid rulers to create this. But combining the two, do you see that neat star pattern that we get? And it feels like the stars are moving. It really looks nice in this. I see the reason for using this snail's trail block. You get the movement from it, and I like this on here. Even the curvature. So we've seen this, I've not looked at the pattern, but I believe it's using some creative grid rulers, some of the different angled ones, and so that you're getting what appears to be like a curvature. See how it looks like this? I gotta get my finger going the right way. It looks like it's curving right here. That's done in using the angle of the triangle here, the angle that we've got. All right, so you're not doing any curved piecing. This is straight piecing, but when we attach this angle, this angle with this angle, it creates what looks like a curve. So really, really pretty. The backing is just a white. Very effective. And it's the same line. It's this bubble type. And again, I don't know the name of this line. There you can kind of see the bubble. The same as on the that same effect, but in the white. Really cute. So Judy asked if I would use the ginger snap. Judy likes a very open design. So you've seen the same pantograph, but much tighter on other quilts. Look at the difference it makes when you open it up. Just very airy and light. Really nice. I used a white thread because of all the white backing and the white background fabric on the front. And you don't, you know, it just soaks in. Really pretty. So ginger snap has the, you know, the smaller circle, the larger circle, and then it comes out and does a couple loop-the-loops before it goes into the next one. Almost like a big lollipop or something. But again, we've used this on much tighter quilts even within the last couple weeks. I mean, we've used this design much tighter on other quilts. That's what I meant to say. Really pretty. Very bright, festive. Very nice. Okay, let's move on to Judy's second quilt. This is a panel, this center part. This is a panel, a 40 by 40 panel called the Supernova Seasons panel. Is that not pretty? I love how the snowflakes create that Christmas tree effect. I just really like that. And then Judy has added a couple borders. We can see this white print. It's got some silver lines on it, and then a very skinny, it's iridescent. It almost looks black, but it's an iridescent, very dark aqua. And then on the border, this is called a tendrils border. And I have linked a pattern down below. It's a free pattern that you can download that shows you how to add this tendrils border to a square panel. So you'll want to go see that. This quilt is on that pattern. There's several other colorways or different panels that they show. But any panel that you have that's a 40 by 40, or that you could cut 40 by 40, or any center square that you want to, designs, blocks that you would want 40 by 40, then you could add this tendrils border all around. It would be really cute. So we've got a white background fabric, and this one is a grid, different than the bubbles that we just had on the other one. And then this aqua print around the edges does not look like it's the exact same, but it's a close match. And then on the back, a little darker aqua backing. Is not a solid, it's got some greens and blues, really pretty. This is one that I think you could keep out through January and February, unless you change February to red. But I think this would be beautiful in January. It's a very wintry feel. It doesn't have to be a Christmas one per se. And if it was me, I probably would save this one for January, because there's so much that comes out in that you pull out for Christmas time to decorate with, that I think this one would be a really nice one just to have out in January with all the blues and the whites and things like that. Really, really pretty. So again, Judy asked if I would do that same ginger snap pantograph, and I have lots of strings on here. That same ginger snap pantograph. I don't think you're going to be able to see it on the dark. This one is a tad bit of an off-white thread, just so that it wasn't so stark on the back. So you can see that same ginger snap. Again, we did it very large. Judy likes hers open and not real dense. So the same design. So don't feel that, you know, if you see a design that I've done and it's real tight, a lot of those can be expanded out and then give you a lot of open space. So here, I mean, this circle is just right under my fist size, and this one's even bigger than that. Very open and airy, a light feel. Perfect. So Judy will be getting those back in the mail, and I'm sure she'll have time to get that ready before Christmas time. So I have 2 more quilts, and these 2 come from Cindy, and you're going to love these as well. Beautiful big piecing on this. This is a pattern by Thimble Blossoms, which is Camille Roskelley. This is her Simply Swoon pattern. Isn't that cute? Really big piecing. Go together really quickly, but very striking. It's taking one block and blowing it up really large. This is kind of a modern feel. A lot of people are doing this, where they take one quilt block but make it really big, and it's a very powerful statement. Really cute. And so the fabric is Sun Washed by Cora Yoder, and she also used some Wild Blossoms by Robin Pickens. That's a Cora Yoder. So I'm wondering if this, I don't know, I should have looked up that better. This may be the Robin Pickens print. Okay, the Wild Blossoms. So pretty. I love the negative space. Love the negative space. and how well it shows off the quilting. This blue is a small, almost like a cross stitch little blue, but again, it's a lot of negative space, even though it's all blue. You kind of lose the quilting on the busyness of this, but then the white spaces especially. Wow, 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 is that not pretty? So this pantograph is called Wishbone, and this is by the Longarm League. And again, with this one, so when I pull this one into my machine, this is the bottom of one row, this is the top of the next row. When you bring this design into your machine, it's going to have the top of this one all the way down here. So you wouldn't have anything in this space. If you left it the way that it comes in, then the design pulls in. So the bottom of this one and then the top of the next row, I don't like it that way. I like to pull it together so that they interconnect. So you can't, this just goes all together. I really like this. So this one comes up into the row above it and stitches down, and then the next row comes up into the row above it and just interlocks. You could pull it farther apart. You could even pull it down where these bubbles are all beside each other if you wanted. It would give it a totally different look. I really like it close together. I love the texture. And Cindy told me she wanted a dense pattern, is why I felt free to do it that tight. She wanted a dense pattern. And I think with all this negative space, it really adds a lot of texture, very striking. I just love this, really love it. And then the Sunwash, this is a large floral on the back. Again, it matches with the front, but without repeating the front. A really nice effect. I'd love to know what color binding she's going to put on this one. What color binding would you put on it if it was you? I can't wait to see. Maybe Cindy will send me a picture when she has it all finished and I can share that again, because I would love to see the binding on this one. Really pretty. Oh, I just love it. I had so many good quilts. That's why I said I couldn't send these home this week without showing you on here, because these were just all fantastic. Most of them fairly large quilts this week too. This one measures 64 by 64. Really, really cute. And I have one more of Cindy's, and this is another winter themed. You are going to want to see this one. Before I move on to this one, Cindy's quilt that I just showed you, the Simply Swoon, she did do a pieced backing, a stripe across the back that was half square triangles or something, and make sure you go back and look at that. That was really cute to add that onto the back to kind of break up that large floral print. Okay, this is Cindy's second quilt that I did for her this week, and this one is Regal Pines. This is a Chelsi Stratton design. Is this not adorable? I love this. I love the, what do you call that? Almost like Irish chain, the chains that go down in between, and those right here, those are just 4 patches. 4 patch, 4 patch. But you lay it out correctly, and then it looks like it's doing this. I just love this. Really like this. Each one of the parts of the tree are a different fabric. So we have red trees, we have some that are red and green, red trees, red and green. You could do this in so many different ways. You could do it all greens, all evergreen trees. One of the ladies in my online guild showed us a picture this week where she had done it all in fall colors. And she had actually changed the stars here into maple leaf blocks, and it was just adorable. So you could redo this one in so many ways. I just love this. And as long as you lay it out right, it's going to go together really simple. It's not set on point. This is all straight blocks, but it's all in your layout, how you get that design. These blocks here are just easy corner triangles, on the edge of a strip. Notice, I was going to say it didn't look like they were all the same size, but they may all be 2.5-inch strips actually. Now that I look at it a little closer, it's just how wide that strip is. So here, this one may only be 4 inches. This one may be 5, 6, I don't know. I don't know the pattern. And then the little blocks are so cute, the little squares. This fabric line is all the Blizzard fabric line from Sweetwater. The same backing that was on this Frosty Goes to Town is the same line, all of it. So the grays, the whites, the greens, the reds. So that same snowman print that was on the back of Barb's quilt that had the gray backing and then the snowman on top, that same design is done with all different colors in the back. So here's a red one, there's a green one, there's a gray one, there's a white one, all of them with that same snowman. I love the plaids, and some other really cute. This red one has presents on it. The white is a solid white, lots of negative space again here. I just think this is adorable. So then Cindy did a black and white check, not a check. So it looks like a grid from here, but when you get it in closer, do you see how it's like little black squares with a little dot in the middle? But they're so close together that it gives it the appearance of a grid. Really cute. And then that same backing. I don't know that that's ever happened, that I've had 2 quilts in the studio the same week, totally different quilts, but use the same backing fabric from 2 different people. You know, I've had it where we use the same backing fabric on somebody's same quilt. But, all right, Pantograph. This is called Jolly Holly. And I did this pretty dense because of all that negative space. I knew Cindy liked the dense too, so we just quilted it and quilted it. So Jolly Holly, let me see if I can find a holly leaf. The holly leaves have a swirl on inside each holly leaf. Okay, so here's a holly leaf, and then it has a swirl inside of it. And then we've got other swirls. So here's a holly leaf with a swirl inside of it. And then we've got some other swirls, and then it goes into more holly leaves. Yeah, you can see them. And then it's got the swirl here, and then it's moving into others. Oh, I just love this. Just love it. So all that negative white space in between the trees. So with the swirls, it again kind of gives it the blustery type feel by adding those swirls, but then with the addition of the holly leaf in there, then it gives it that festive, Christmassy feel. So where we had the Snow Winds one that had the snowflakes and the swirls, gave it a blustery feel. This one kind of adds that Christmas element to it too by having the holly leaves and the swirls. So still that blustery, wintry feel. And we're not, what do I want to say? We're not copying. So sometimes, you know, on a quilt top, I'm doing the same, either the fabrics, maybe they're very floral, I'm doing a floral pantograph on top. Other times, it kind of depends on the client, what they like. Other times, I feel like the quilt doesn't need a repetition of more floral. Maybe we need to switch to something else so that it complements it without repeating it. This one was one I didn't feel that Christmas trees was needed. I've got plenty of Christmas tree pantographs as well, but I just thought for this one, I wanted that the tight dents, and the Christmas ones that I have, the Christmas tree ones I have don't have that tight dents, and I wanted that with this one. And I like the swirl feel to it, again, because of the blustery, wintry stuff, but then with the Christmas edition of the holly leaf. I did it all in white thread, again, because of the white backing. Wanted texture without adding color to it. I really like this. Such a classy Christmas quilt. That's not going to go out of style in a long, long time. Really like that, Cindy. All right, So those are the 7 quilts I have done. And just too pretty to pass up, so I had to jump on here and film them real quick before I mail them out. So I will be back next week with another video, hopefully updates on my calico garden and my So Scrappy spools. Those are things that I'm working on, as well as plenty of client quilts. So I hope you'll join me back here next week. If you are in need of long arm quilting services, then my information is down below on how you can get the long arm prep instructions. All of that has how you need to prepare your quilt, and also the instructions on how to get your quilt to me. And I would love to see what you're working on. And it's important to have your quilts finished. Don't let them sit around. You know, you've worked hard on that quilt top. Pull them out of those cupboards and from under the beds and finish them up, and let's get them long arm quilted so that you can begin enjoying them, because every quilt is worth finishing. We'll see you next week.